How should you write a book about your family history? Hi, my name is Joel Marquez and I'm the author of The Secret to Writing Your First Book. Let's just jump right into it. Okay, the first rule in successfully writing a book about your family history is not to think of it as a daunting or tedious task. It can be an overwhelming process, collecting all the information from various sources, writing it down, editing, making sure you don't anger that one particular aunt, you know the one I'm talking about. Even if some family members and close relatives continuously nag you about it, and you should take that as motivation to complete your book. After all, it's something you must do because you think of it as a fun exercise and it gives you satisfaction. Organizing a book about your family history is pretty much like writing any other type of nonfiction book. You just have to follow these simple steps, the purpose of which is to keep yourself organized. Any lack of direction could lead to failure. You don't want to end up with an unstructured collection of documents masked in a cover with a title. So here are the steps on how you should write the book. Step number 1, figure out the purpose of your book. You should write a book because it accomplishes something, and a written account of your family history should be no exception. But there's a chance you'll end up feeling like you're hitting a brick wall. The only way to finish writing a book about your family history is when you have a clearly laid out purpose and plan. Are you planning to organize all the information you already have from previous research, or are you intending to talk about your family's role in your town's history, for example? Do you want to talk about your family's ethnic heritage in extensive detail? Incorporating all these things into one book may be overwhelming, so having a purpose will make the project more manageable. Step number 2, determine your target audience. Who is going to read your book? Understanding your audience is critical as the book's purpose. If you intend for your book for your family and relatives to read the book exclusively, then a casual writing style may suffice. But if your target audience is broader and you intend to publish the book for sale in bookstores, then an authoritative writing style may be required. You may want to focus on conducting a more thorough research process with footnotes and source lists citing details like sources. Step number 3, create an outline. Once you have a purpose and target audience in mind, the next step is to come up with a concrete plan that takes your book in one direction. This outline serves as the framework of your book. It also contains a preview or list of all the things you hope to integrate, including the people to mention, stories to tell, and elements to discuss. The outline is critical if you're looking at examining multiple families or multiple generations. Step number 4, reassess the scope of your book. The outline gives you a clearer picture of how your book will eventually turn out. Aside from giving you an overview of the topics that you will cover, it will also help you to get to the next step in writing the book. With the outline in place, you can now reassess the scope of your writing. This is a time when you want to narrow down the coverage and omit things that aren't as important or don't support the main theme of the book. At this point, you must acknowledge that there is no way you can cover everything or your entire family history. Alright, step number 5, use family pictures. This step is where you begin to focus on the specifics. You have a purpose for your book, target audience, outline, and the scope. Reinforce the information with pictures. A book on family history will likely not be as interesting without photos. These photos can arouse your reader's interest, make them feel like there's more to see as they follow your family members throughout history. Alright, step number 6, don't forget the supporting cast. This one requires in-depth research, but it sure does go a long way to make your book a lot more exciting if you find some interesting side stories for your book. If you happen to know an ancestor with a really interesting background or life, say a war hero or maybe a financial investor, then you probably want to tell that story. Likely the younger generation in the family are not even aware of this person. Step number 7, ask for help. If you get credit for the book about your family history, does that mean you do not work hard on your own? If you do not have enough information to proceed with the rest of your book, then you should ask for assistance from family members or relatives. They might have some historical facts or tidbits not on the record, and the only way to obtain them is from stories passed from generation to another. There's no shame in getting help or reference from other people, so be sure to credit them. Step number 8, do not forget the historical backdrop. Remember, the purpose of a book of family history is to showcase the lives of your ancestors and the lineage of your current generation. You want something compelling and that will tell a story. Hence, it could help if you emphasize on creating a detailed account of your earliest ancestors. A broad canvas of your family's history is not merely about tracing your roots. Once you succeed in gathering all the information and creating an informative book out of it, then you will recognize where they come from. A historical backdrop should include the places your ancestors lived, the ethnic identity, religious background, and economic status. Step number 9, review your work and make necessary adjustments. One thing that stands out in nonfiction work is the emphasis on context and detail. Unlike fiction where you can come up with a story from your imagination, a book on your family history must rely on facts, obviously. You should review your facts and add some more supporting detail. You can do this by citing newspaper articles or browsing genealogical websites. You could even add old postcards or town histories. Step number 10, take your time and go easy on yourself. Deadlines are important for every writer to get the job done. However, a book about your family history requires a lot of time, a lot of effort, and of course a lot of writing. This book is not about making money. It's more about bringing your family together and letting them know about your shared history and past. Your writing project may take a couple years or even more, so don't stress about it. The only way for it to become more comprehensive is if you take your time. That's it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it and it gave you some ideas that if you're writing a book about your own family history, hopefully it motivates you to continue. But if you have any questions, please drop them in the comments below and I'll be sure to answer them. Until next time.